So what I'm going to do now is log out as this user and log in as myself, someone who has all permissions, so I can show you a bit more of the system and how it hangs together. So you can see now on the left-hand side, these panels, there's quite a few more opened up. So we've got this browse view, which is by categories, as we said before, by statuses. And I've now also got the ability to create new items of different business rule types. We've got all sorts of different things. We can use Excel decision tables and things like that, but I'm not going to show that today. Now, moving down the panels, this is more how it's physically stored under the covers. So we've got these folders of things that we call packages, and these packages are a collection of dozens or hundreds or thousands of items that make up what we call a knowledge base. So it's broken down by categories, business rules, technical rules, ones that are not intended for a business audience, functions, and models and things like that. So this is just another way of viewing it. This is the tag-based category view, and this is the more technical view. So moving down again, we've got the QA panel. So I can select a package, and it will find all the test scenarios that I've defined. I can run all those scenarios and work out that, at least according to these scenarios, which are a bit like unit tests, that we've tested a fair chunk of our rules and at least our expectations are met. There's a few more tools in here, like an analysis tool, so we can choose a package, run an analysis tool. Now this analysis tool is written in rules itself, so it's using rules to validate rules, look for errors. So errors are actual logical errors, it's not a technical error. It's if you've made some rule that has some two constraints that are obviously conflicting and could never be true, it will actually tell you that's an error. Warnings are for things like if you've got a rule that actually doesn't do anything, or you've got a rule that caters for a certain value but it's missing for its equivalent inequality, if you've got number or date range gaps in your logic, and so on. Notes are just really suggestions on things that you might use to improve, or whether there's an overlap between two rules, which may or may not be a problem. It's just a note for your reference. Moving further down, we've got this concept of package snapshots. So package snapshots are what we use for deployment. So when you're satisfied that a package is in a suitable state, a set of rules is in a suitable state, you basically promote it by taking a snapshot, and that freezes it at that point in time, and your runtime systems can then pull out the rules from that version, and you can make concurrent changes to your rules without affecting your production systems until you're ready to deploy the new changes. So as I mentioned before, this is a simple scenario. This uses a graphical editor to set up data and make assertions, check that rules fired or the state of the application once it's run. And when you run that, you can also show an audit log of what happened in what order to cause those rules to fire, because that's often a useful debugging tool. So how this actually works, what's pretty critical is a model. So I'm going to create a new package, and generally the first thing I'll want to do is define a model. So everything hangs off a model. So a model can be a jar that you've defined externally and you just want to upload it, or you can actually use a user interface and we'll do it internally. So you define models, they're pretty much like objects. In fact, they're very much like objects. So you have fields and you have types and so on. So once we have those models defined, then we can write rules against those models, we can compile them, you can access those models from your code, and the graphical user interfaces can introspect and generate user interfaces against those models. Now, it doesn't have to be defined like this, it can actually just be a Java model that you uploaded as well. So if I look at the model that I defined for the example earlier, you'll see that there's several different entity types. We've got loan applications, applicants, and each one has their own set of fields. So in terms of how these are actually deployed, it's all via URLs. So if I click on a package, I get a package configuration screen, and you can see there's a few URLs down the bottom. It's a bit hard to see. I'll zoom in. Now these would be the URLs that you would use in your runtime, embedded in your application, that would talk back to this server and make sure that they always have the latest version of them running. So they're both available. In this case, I clicked on the latest version of the package, but if I went to the snapshot, it would use the frozen version of that. So, well, that's about it. It's a quick tour of things. There's obviously a lot more to it. You can get it from jboss.org/drools. There's a few different flavors of the download. It can be downloaded simply as a WAR file that you can unpack and run. And there's also a standalone server that's just a bit quicker to get going as well. So thanks everyone for listening, and if there's any questions, just come up and see me.